Hi and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. This is going to be the last in a series of what were these tools used for. Because I'm just actually running out of stuff to show you. I pretty much showed you a lot of the older stuff that I had kept over the years. But this stuff here is actually probably not from back the 60s and 70s, but they are some older tools that we used to use years ago frequently, and now they're pretty much obsolete. We don't even use them any longer. Like I said, they're probably from maybe like the 80s, something like that. I'm not even too sure exactly, but they did become obsolete pretty quickly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the tools are this time, and instead of making you wait to see what the answer is, I'm going to actually tell you what they were used for. The first one is this. Now this used to be bent down at a 90-degree angle of the handle, but what I did is I straightened it out because it just got caught on everything that I was working with, so I straightened out the handle. But that's pretty much what the tool was used for. And we used to use this on almost every car back in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, up until power windows became very popular. This tool was used to remove the crank handle. We used to roll down the window. When you crank down the window to open it up, this tool was used for that purpose. You used to have the handle, which was mounted on the door, obviously, and there's a little clip like that there. We used to call it a Jesus clip. And the reason we called it a Jesus clip is because when you put this tool in there, and you put that in there, and you push this in to release the clip from that handle, as you push this in, that clip would go flying, and you know what you would say once this clip went flying in a shop someplace. It's like, oh, gee, you know exactly what I mean. But that's why we call that a Jesus clip. That's that tool. All right. Another tool we used to use all the time also was something like this. Looks like a normal feeler gauge, except this feeler gauge is made out of brass. How come is that? Why is that made out of brass? You're probably wondering. Back when they first came out with electronic ignition, I'm thinking this was on the Chrysler actually. These feeler gauges here were marked, well, somewhere on here. It's worn down now. They used to be marked the thickness of it, whatever it was, 6, 8, whatever thousandths of an inch. And what happened is, when they first came out with the electronic ignition, you had a magnetic pickup and you had that reluctor wheel that used to spin past it. If you went in there with a normal feeler gauge and you put it in between it and just tried to feel that it was a nice tight gap in there, what would happen is with a normal feeler gauge, it would stick to it because it was magnetic. That's why they come out with the non-magnetic or the brass feeler gauges. Didn't even know I had this anymore. I just happened to find it the other day when I was looking for tools to make this video up. I know you guys are going to know this one because some of you guys are probably younger than me, but you've been around a long time. You have tools like this, and this, and this. These were all whenever you had a distributor. Some of them would be up in the front. They'd be fairly easy to get to. A lot of them would be in the back and you couldn't really get your hands in there. This would allow you to go underneath the distributor, which would sit here. You'd go under the distributor, put it on top of it, and you could loosen the nut on the distributor so you could actually turn the distributor and watch and reset your timing on the engine. Nowadays, you guys know there is no such thing as timing any longer. You don't adjust the distributor. You can't even find the distributor. All right, but there was all different kinds and different angles. These are just an example of the ones that I actually kept. A lot of them are just gone, but 1/2 inch and 9/16 was just about everything back in the day. All right, this one is actually from a newer car. Yeah. I think that's a 15 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have my glasses, so I can't tell for sure, but I think it is a 15 millimeter. And as you can see, it goes onto a 3/8 ratchet. You're probably thinking to yourself, what the heck is this old man showing me this stuff for? This, believe it or not, I remember it was on a Ford Taurus. Without this tool, it was such a pain in the rear end to get the motor mount on the driver's side, left side of the car, to get that motor mount out. It was a pain in the rear end without this tool. You couldn't even see where the bolt was located. You couldn't see it from the top. You couldn't see it from the bottom. This tool, you would get up around it, and you notice how the angle is up here? It would actually go around it like this, and you can get it on an angle, and you'd be able to loosen the nut up so you could get your fingers up there and take that nut off. This tool, I can't tell you how many times this saved me a bunch of headaches. And the last thing I'm going to show you, and I ran out of stuff I'm going to show you. So it's this. It has little fingers on the end of it over here, and as you can see, this adjusts, and these fingers spread open. Without this tool, it was such a pain in the rear end to do a brake job on a GM car. GM came up with this brilliant idea of when the wheel cylinder went into the back of the backing plate, where it would go through the backing plate and come through, it would push into the backing plate, and behind it there was the rear axle would go up. So you had a little bit of a tight spot. This tool here, you would actually get it in there. There was a little metal clip. There was no screws like there is on most cars, where you could screw in the bolts into the wheel cylinder to hold it in place. They come up with the idea of putting a clip in. And this tool here, would you slide it in through the side of it like this, and then you would take this and you would turn it, and you would open up the fingers. That would allow the clip to open up, and you could pull the clip out of the way. Putting the clip back on, you didn't need this to put the clip back on. You put the wheel cylinder back in its location, you wedged a tool, a pry bar, whatever you had to fit in there. The wheel cylinder would go in the back of the backing plate. The hub would be right here, and you would shove something in there, whether it be a pry bar or whatever, to hold the wheel cylinder into the backing plate, and then you would go in the back of it, put the clip in this location. You couldn't use this to put it back in, and you would get in there with a hammer and a punch, and you would just tap it, and that clip would snap back in, and it would hold the wheel cylinder in place. So that's what that was used for. Oh, I do have one more thing I wanted to show you too. This is something that you don't even see this around anymore. I don't even know why I kept it, but I did. It's a kit like this. Now you can see it. This thing has been sitting around. It's kind of covered in dust. There is a name underneath here, as you can see. You can't even see what the name of the thing is. So this we used to use all the time. Whenever, back in the day, we used to have a lot of inspections were very strict, unlike today where you could pretty much have just about anything going on with your car whatsoever, and you'll pass inspection as long as your check engine light's not on. Well, in New Jersey anyway. This tool here came in really handy for adjusting the headlights. You had a tool like this, and it would have all of the different size. Well, let's say like the larger headlights, it would be a light like this here. This would go on. Again, I don't have my glasses, so I'm kind of going blind here. This piece would go on like that. This would stick on the headlight. This one would actually be the passenger side headlight. This would stick on the headlight. This piece would face inside. You'd put it on a headlight, and then you would adjust. If you look down, right through here, there's a little level inside there. And what you would do is you put this on the light, and you would adjust this level according to, until it got to the 0 mark in the middle. And then when you had this stuck on the headlights, you would have the other side, this one, stuck on the driver's side of the vehicle. And these pieces inside here, these, you would actually look down through the top right in here, and there was a mirror inside here, and you would look over and you would see this one on the other side. What you would see is you'd see these lines, and they would be one above the other, and then you would adjust the headlight until these two lines were one line. This one and this one would line up directly above each other, and that's how you would adjust the headlights. Nowadays, obviously, you know you can't do that any longer because they're all totally different, but that's how we used to do it back in the day. There was also an attachment for, sorry, just my obsessive compulsive nature. Everything has to go back into its spot where it belongs. So, all right. And they had all different attachments. If you had the largest, I think it was a 6014 light, you had that bigger one. If you had the smaller light, it was this one. If you had the one that was like oval shaped, it would be this one here, or square, I should say. So there's a lot of different attachments, and you could adjust the headlights on just about any car. As you know, today you can't do that. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for now. I don't have anything else to show you. This is all the tools that I had laying around the shop here. So that's it. So I'll get this video up. If I find anything else laying around the shop, I'll do a follow-up video on it. But that's pretty much all of the stuff that I have for the older cars. This thing here goes back into its archives where it's been sitting for forever. Now occasionally I do get antiques, but I don't even use that for the antiques anymore. Nowadays we put it up on the wall. We have a level that we go across on the wall and we adjust the lights according to that. That's it, we're all set. All right, so as always, thanks for watching. Anybody wants to talk to me about this kind of stuff or have any kind of input, you know, send me an email and I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys on the next one.